welcome to the Self-Sabotage Summit, where we are going to talk a lot about what happens with self-sabotage. My name is Beverly Zymet, and I am your host today. My guest is Rachel West. Rachel, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Las Vegas today, and I'm so
Woo!
excited to be here with you.
Well, it's great to have you here. So, could you share with the audience a little bit about what exactly is it that Rachel does that's going to rock the world?
Yeah, so I am a personal growth coach. I focus on mindset and mental health. I'm a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming and timeline therapy. I also volunteer at the Safe House here in Las Vegas. I'm a domestic violence victim advocate and a community health worker.
Wow. Now that's a mouthful.
That is.
That is amazing. All really, really awesome things that are necessary, especially with some of the crazy stuff going on in the world today, right?
Right.
So, when we talk about self sabotage, where does that tie in with the work that you do, or maybe with the background, that actually put you into all of the great things that you're doing to help people in your work?
The sabotage falls under the mental health. If we sabotage ourselves and we aren't even aware that it's going on, how can we smash it or how can we improve on it? It's my belief that most of the time we aren't even aware that it's occurring. We have to have this awareness that it's going on. Specifically for me, before I started coaching, I had a graphic design business. And I thought that that was my life and that's what I was going to do. And I had a really great partner. And I kept saying to myself, like, this is the year. It's going to, it's going to blow up. It's going to happen. And for some reason, I couldn't figure it out. Me was sabotaging it from not working. And I realized later that that's because it really wasn't aligned with me and what I wanted to be doing with my life. It was kind of just a stepping stone to get me to where I wanted to go. But in the moment, I didn't realize that I was sabotaging myself for it to not work.
I think that happens with a lot of us, and we've all been there. And it's kind of interesting what you said, that self sabotage actually went alongside of doing something that you weren't really passionate at. You liked it, it sounded good, right? But it
Right.
just, something was missing, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so go ahead and share a little bit how that played a role in you overcoming the self sabotaging and just became a sabotage smasher, as we say on the show.
Yeah. So, you know, I was that person that did what society says or what your parents tell you that you need to do. So you graduate from high school and you go to college. That's the norm. That's what you do. So guess what? That's what I did. And at the time when I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I was going to community college just to go for the sake of going because I didn't want to be judged for not going. But guess what happened? I didn't go to class. I didn't do my homework and I wasn't getting good grades and I ended up just stopped going altogether. And my belief now is because I didn't have that focus. I didn't have that end goal or mission in mind to accomplish. It was like just going to go. And so then I thought that was my path. I decided graphic design was my path. And so I got my degree in graphic design. I started my own business. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I have a great partner. I thought that was my life. And I was like, no matter what happens, even if things change, I'm always going to have this business. It's my baby. That's what I believed. And I didn't realize that I wasn't aligned with it. And through that business and through networking, I learned about neuro-linguistic programming. And so my partner and I decided to study it for the communication side so that we could communicate, so that we could linguistically craft our marketing messages to reach more people by speaking into their communication patterns and their communication styles. So that was why I got into neurolinguistic programming, and then just learning about myself and how I process information, and how I was raised, and the limiting beliefs and the sabotage that was occurring in my life all became aware at this point. And I have family members who have addictions of various sorts: gambling, drugs, alcohol, self-harm. And so when I learned about the tools and the knowledge from neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy, and that I could discover the root cause as to what's holding people back and preventing them from moving forward, whether that's in their addiction or their self-sabotage or their mind chatter. What is it that is preventing you from moving forward? Like in my graphic design business, I thought that was my life and I was excited about it. But for some reason, it just wasn't working out the way that it was planned to work. And that sabotage came into my awareness. And once I realized that I wanted to be doing this to help people overcome that and move forward, I instantly got out of that. I was like, there's no more purpose for me to be investing my energy into this company that's not working for me because I'm not working for it. And so I started coaching, and I've had the best year just growing and healing myself. So it's been amazing.
That's remarkable. And sometimes it takes these major wake up calls, kind of like 2020, major wake up,
Oh yeah.
right? So it's awesome that you paid attention, and you had a partner that wanted to get into the linguistics with you, because communication, or the lack of communication, can create an impact on how we perform and in what we do. And like you said, you were doing the norm. You grow up, you graduate, you go to college, you do what, you're supposed to do, which I never understood that either, right? And it's like, okay. And it turns out, like you say, not aligning with one's true spirit of who they are, right? And so when we start looking at healing ourselves and really looking inward to find out, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? But who am I? Right? And finding that identity and that truth of who you are, then it's a lot easier to begin to recognize what my assets are, what my dreams are, what I want to specialize in, where do I want to be in my life, and all of these things. Then it's easier to recognize what? The sabotaging moments, those old programmings, like you said, addictions, right? So that old database of information just starts playing and just starts, talking to you unconsciously, because it's been there like forever. Some of it's in our DNA. So to be able to wake up and pay attention to that is probably one of the biggest struggles that most people go through. So when that started happening with you, was the turning point at the time you went into NLP, or was it during the NLP processing that the awakening happened for you?
It was during the NLP processing. So when I first started studying it, I studied and got my master's over the course of 2 years. So the first year was kind of like my awareness to NLP and communicating with myself and listening to my intuition, which I had ignored for a really long time. So it really was probably more than halfway through my second year of doing the trainings and learning the NLP techniques and modalities that it really like smacked me in the face. And I had realized that I had been running these same patterns over and over. And it took me saying them out loud to a friend to bring that awareness. Like I knew that it was happening, but I wasn't aware of it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Oh, it sure does.
So I was talking to her and I was like, oh my gosh, I would get this feeling, like this eager feeling of like, oh my gosh, my bottom is coming. I would wait for my bottom to come so that I could push off of that and do what I wanted to do. And so I could eagerly feel it in my body, like this is coming. And I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for this bottom to come so I can finally do what I want to do. And then I'm like, wait, did I just say that out loud? Really? I'm waiting for my bottom to happen so I can do what I want to do. Why not just do it? Why wait for the bottom to come? And so that's when I was like, light bulb moment. And I was like, okay, graphic design is not my path. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my calling, to help people overcome their sabotage, overcome their limiting beliefs, overcome that chatter in their mind, the negativity of beating yourself up when things aren't going your way, and pushing past it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I'm like, done. And I quickly made the transition because I didn't want to be repeating that program of waiting to do what I want to be doing. And so I just did it, and I'm doing what I want to be doing. And I'm so much happier, and I'm aligned, and I'm listening to my body and myself more, in my intuition, and it's guiding me on the right path. And it's amazing.
That's such great information that every one of us can hear. And it doesn't matter how many times we hear it, we still need to hear it, right? And when you speak it, like talking with your clients, and even mentioning that is just a reinforcement to yourself, right? So it's okay to talk about that. And again, when you hear yourself speak these things, it's more of a light bulb moment, as you put it, right? That wake up call when you actually hear what those thoughts were going on. It's like, wow. And like you say, you're waiting for the bottom to fall out so that you could pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and move again. It's like, wait a minute, I don't really have to crash and burn, do I? So that is a strong message here that you just gave this audience. Don't wait for the crash and burn to happen. Change it. If you're recognizing something that's not working, pay attention to that sabotage, element that's playing, and say, whoa, I'm the one in charge here. I can change it. Because really, in essence, nobody else can change it for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, you were mentioning some other modalities that you do besides the NLP. Can you share a little bit about those?
Yeah. So I also do timeline therapy. So that's a holistic approach. It's working with your unconscious mind and digging to the root of the problem. So basically, I describe it as a filing cabinet. So the moment that your brain is formed in the womb, it starts creating memories stored in your filing cabinet or your brain. And so it's all of them are there. And so what this modality and technique does is dig through that filing cabinet or your memories and find the one that was the root cause. What is preventing you from moving forward that you have been unaware of for years? And we pull it out and we work with it because it's there. We just have to find it. And then we have to work through it. And most of the time, we're programmed to carry the negative with us. So in that event that we pulled out and we're working with, you have carried the negative part of that event with you your entire life up until now. And so what I do is help you find the positive in that event and carry the positive with you back until now. Because with every negative, there has to be a positive. It's a universal law.
Exactly, right.
So why carry the negative with you to have the negative still with you now? Find the positive and carry that with you. It's so much it's it uses the same amount of energy to focus on that negativity that as the same as the positive energy, correct?
You know,
So
and it's so much lighter when you're living in that joy and that happiness and that alignment, as you put it. Oh, you just feel good all the time because that negative stuff starts to weigh you down and down and down, right? And then you don't feel like doing anything. You don't even, you just don't even want to get out of bed sometimes, right?
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
so we kind of live in this cause effect world, right? So
right.
we tend to be in effect, like this person did this to me, or this happened to me, or my environment caused this. So we're blaming something, a person, a situation, event, or something happening to us instead of taking ownership and finding out, why did this happen? Where did we sabotage ourselves? What negative energy were we putting out that brought it back to us? What mirror are we looking into, this person, event, situation, that's reflecting the lesson to be learned in that event?
Now that right there was a very, very powerful statement. So make that statement again so people really listen to what she just said here, because this is a game changer.
So as we're living in this cause effect world and we're blaming these other people, situations, event for it happening to us, in reality, it's our mirror. What are we looking at, that person, that event, that situation, and what is it reflecting back to us to learn the lesson from so that we can move forward?
Wow. If you don't take anything out of this conversation or even out of this whole summit, I hope you got that message very strong, right? What is the reflection of? Because when, the eyes are the camera to the mirror of the inner self is what, I have heard, spoken, and I kind of take that to heart. So when you're looking at someone that is kind of irritating you maybe, or making you feel uncomfortable one way or another, or pushing some buttons that make you respond in an unhealthy manner, maybe we need to say it's not that person that's creating the trigger. They're just the mirror of something inside here that needs to maybe shift, like what you were saying, take it out of that storage bank and get rid of it, huh?
Smash it.
There you go. Smash it. Because if you don't smash it, it's going to keep smashing you, right? I liked what you said, where this stuff just kind of jumped out and it just kind of smashed you and woke you up, right? Yeah, and sometimes we don't pay attention to those wake-up calls. And that is really critical on your alignment, right? And where you begin to find out your true assets and the true element of the spirit of who you are, right?
So as you were saying, how the sabotage, when the sabotage is occurring and you're unaware of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a reflection of what's inside that we need to work on, and it's bringing up these negative emotions that we're feeling, that we've been carrying with us over time. The feelings of anger, feelings of sadness, feelings of hurt, fear, guilt, these negative feelings that we all experience. The sabotage is also just a mirror of what you need to heal and work on internally. So when you become aware of it, that's the first step, then you can work to smash it, to overcome it, to move forward, to build a different life, a different reality.
So true. And again, sometimes I think we're afraid to admit, that, wow, because again, we judge ourselves, right? It's that judgment is part of your sabotaging to beat yourself up, to say, I mean, oh my goodness, we say things to ourselves, like, oh my gosh, how could I be so stupid? Or, how could I not do this? How could I not see that coming? And, all of these things, right? It's called life and it's called experiences. But now you recognize it. What are you going to do about it? You can't live in it, but you can change it, right?
If we're part of the problem, we can't be part of the solution. So if we're part of the problem, we can't see it.
Right.
So we need somebody else, or in my incident, I was just talking to a friend about it, but it's been running through my head constantly in my mind and my thoughts, but I wasn't consciously aware of it until I said it out loud and heard myself tell her that I was sabotaging myself and running a program repeatedly over and over, and I was waiting for it to happen again so that I could do what I finally wanted to do.
And I think that's a strong message right there, Rachel. What you're saying is you heard yourself speak it out loud, and so sometimes we don't have someone we can talk to as a sounding board, so to speak. And it's okay, but you can be your own sounding board by speaking your thoughts out loud to yourself, right? Not just thinking them, as you said. Your thinking thoughts completely were different from your vocalizing and your hearing thoughts, right?
Yeah, it's that communication with self. Like, what is your unconscious or deep down? What is it? Your intuition wanting you to know that you've been like that, closing the door on for so long, and now it's like, ooh, you're listening. Okay, let's present this to you. Are you listening? Are you ready to hear? Are you ready to find the lesson? Or are you ready to grow? Yes or no? It's kind of like an onion. It keeps peeling. You work on this, and then something else presents. It's because your body is, and your brain is like, oh wow, you're listening. Let's keep doing this. New sabotage. Let's work on this one.
Right.
So it's an ever evolving onion that you get to work on, and you grow each step. You peel one off, and you grow, and you move forward.
Did you find in your journey that the more you did it, the more you wanted to do it, just to see what else was going to come up?
I mean, it's. I'm more aware of when it's happening. I can identify it quicker, but it kind of goes back to, if you're part of the problem, you can't be part of the solution.
Right.
So if I'm not aware because I'm part of the problem, something needs to happen, either a person, or I need to say it out loud, or I see it in somebody else, for it to smack me in the face and be like, oh, okay, now I can work on it. Now I see it. Okay, I got it. That kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you need something to happen that identifies it for you in some way for you to see it. You can't just be like, oh, what's next? Oh, what's next? I mean, maybe you can. I don't know. I've never experienced that, but I guess it's possible.
Right. There's so many different ways and avenues, right, as what you were sharing, as to how we can begin to recognize what those sabotaging moments are, right?
Right.
Yeah. And, who knows? If you're the adventurous type, maybe you just want to set yourself up and just let people start tripping your trigger to say, whoa, is that inside of me or is that inside of them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And what is cool about being a coach and getting to help other people identify what they're sabotaging in themselves is that whenever I'm working with a client, I'm also working on myself as well. So they're being that mirror for the problems that I also need to work on and heal. So it's kind of like double, I'm working on them and healing them, but they're also helping me heal myself at the same time. So that's the cool part about being a coach and doing this work.
Right. That's so true. And because, we're all one, right? And there's only so many emotions out there and so many different events. The faces might be different, the places might be different, but the feelings are still the same, right? And so by helping each other heal, the whole world begins to heal, right? And so it becomes a joint adventure, really, in essence. And for me, I enjoy interviewing, and being a part of this summit, as well as listening to, different clients and people who are in the business, shall we say, that are coaches, that are healers, that are looking to help others, to give them hope, and to be a part of that collaboration, and to watch the journeys and how many people's lives are influenced. And that's kind of what this whole summit is all about, is to really bring awareness to that self-sabotaging moment, to those hidden little stories that we just believed were just there because they were a part of us, but really in essence they're not. They're creating something that we don't have to have follow us, as you mentioned earlier on. You don't have to bring them with you if you don't choose to, right?
Yeah, you have the choice to accept or reject any label that you give yourself or that other people give to you. We're born into a religion, right? And so I was born into the Catholic religion. And I learned very early on, I was probably like 7 years old, when I realized that I wasn't aligned with that religion. I do believe in God and a higher power and the universe and spirituality, but I wasn't aligned with the Catholic religion. So that's just something you're given. You don't have a choice at birth. And so to realize that wasn't aligned with me very early. And then at 14, I decided, I'm going to start searching for what is in alignment with me. And I'm still searching, what is aligned with me in that realm, in religion and spirituality. And I'm just kind of evolving there too, like an onion, just, finding new things that I believe in and kind of just going with that.
And those are some key words that you just said there. It's, what am I aligned with? And
Yeah.
to find what my truth and my belief is, right?
So you don't have to agree with that just because your parents gave it to you, or, society says so, or, that's what you do. Like, you have to be aware of your intuition that's going to guide you to your right path, what's a fit for you, what's in alignment with you, what's in integrous with you. And once you identify that, things just kind of fall into place because it's supposed to be that way for you.
Right. And then that takes you up to that point of judgment, which also is kind of antagonistic with sabotage, right? So when you can remove judgment of yourself, you can remove judgment of others. And then that turns around and gives you an opportunity to now honor yourself and honor others, right? Just because you're not in agreement doesn't mean you don't honor what their belief is, because that's their reality and that's their belief. And that's where the harmony and that alignment of everyone on the planet can take place, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, wow, this sabotaging thing can really bring up a lot of stuff, can it?
Yeah, it can. Thinking about judgment, we judge ourselves. And the cool thing is, for me, is going through this journey on my own and growing over the past few years. Since I've been changing, I'm starting to see people around me change. They're not doing anything different than they were before, but because I'm showing up differently, they're showing up differently. Either
Right.
because I'm seeing them differently, or because they're seeing the change in me, and it's just that like reciprocate energy that it's like they're changing and they don't even know it.
That's the most beautiful thing about that, when, because again, we're all connected, right? So when you're healing within, those around you, and again, it goes back into your perception too a little bit, right? How you perceived your world out here is different because you've cleared up old beliefs, right? And got rid of old sabotaging baggage that helps you to look and perceive others in your line of acquaintances differently. And like you said, not only do you look at them differently, but they're going to look at you differently because your action and reaction, as you spoke earlier on here, is shifted because you're not responding like you used to. And it's
Right.
like, wow, and that is what really helps everyone grow together as a community. And I think 2020's biggest lesson here is helping people to, shut down, stop, reset, and start taking a look at where these sabotaging moments are. And really, who are we? Where is it that we're going? What are our assets? Where have we been not only sabotaging ourselves, but maybe sabotaging those that are around us that were actually put there to assist that we weren't paying attention to, right? So, wow. This has been amazing. I could talk about this stuff like forever,
Yeah.
So, Rachel, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they reach you? I know we've got a little swag bag, and if you have an offer that you want to share with the audience,
Yeah, if they want to connect with me, they can shoot me an email, Rachel at empoweringgrowthcoach.com. I also have a private Facebook group. It's called the Growing You Forum. It's all about you and your personal development. So you can find me there and connect.
okay. And there's going to be lots of ways to connect through this summit as well because you're going to have all of her information to be able to make and reach out to Rachel. If you're looking to smash all of that self-sabotaging, we are the self-sabotagers, but we are also the sabotage smashers, right?
Right.
All right. Any last information? One super morsel that you haven't already given. I mean, my goodness. Can you share that with the audience?
Let's see. Okay. Well, remember to be kind to yourself. And the number one person we lie to the most is ourself. So get really real with yourself and tune into your intuition so that you can smash your sabotage.
Wow, that's great. So the message here is stop lying to yourself, right? Lie to the world, but don't lie to yourself.
Exactly.
Rachel, thank you so much for being on this summit and all this great information that you shared with us, and the work that you do is priceless. And we wish each and every one of you the best of 2021. Go out there and become a sabotage smasher.